It's the principal. It is a pleasure to be joined by my man, my co-host. He, of course, is semi-pro. I'm the honorable, and I mean, to say it's an honor would be an understatement. The Godfather in the house, founder, CEO of Sub 70 Golf. Gentlemen, thanks for taking time.
Present. Looking forward to this.
Let's just, before we get into anything, let's set up the backgrounds. Mikey, you live in Arizona, you've got a goddamn poncho on, and that does not look like Jason's basement he's in.
It's definitely not Jason's basement. I mean, he's at the 70, which in Sycamore, Illinois is the spot to go. It's the hangout, get your fittings, grab a cocktail. From the pictures I've seen, all I want to do is be there. But I have this poncho on because it was a gift to me on the Sub 70 golf trip from the one and the only Jack Riggins. Wow. So as they say in Wedding Crashers, it was a gift, Todd. I'm taking it with me.
Well, and it has been raining out there, right? In Phoenix.
Oh, horrible. We were just out on the driving range. I was testing out the new 659 TCMB combo. Absolutely nuclear, center of the face every time. Going to play this week over at the Inferno, the DC Ranch summer member guest with Sir Charlie James himself.
How strong is Charlie going to get at this thing? Has he finished a weekend without passing out early or absolutely destroying himself?
No, we were at Mirabelle on Saturday. Every time I saw him, he was reaching into the car for another beer. I'm a bachelor this weekend. You know, the wife is going up to Colorado, so I'm going to have to Uber there, Uber back. I don't know how it's going to go. But if Charlie can play to his handicap, we're going to be fine because everyone knows I'm going to play to mine.
Well, I'm sure you will be in the Chuck James zone. And then how many times is he going to make people watch the video of his hole-in-one? And then, of course, you tell them about it.
Well, you should have seen it at Mirabelle actually on Saturday. Second hole's a par 5. I chipped it to about 3 feet. He's got to get inside. We're playing Scotch, so he's got to get inside of me for procs. He goes 1 hop, 2 stop right in the hole and freaking makes it for eagle and started running around the putting green like I figured he had made another hole-in-one. I said, thank God we are not at my club. He's not at our club. We're not going to get thrown out of here quite yet.
Well, that's good. Now, Godfather, I got to ask you, because I hear that Chuck may be getting an invite to Dismal River, and we've seen guys crash carts in wide open fields.
Yes.
Rumor has it people have taken hallucinogenic drugs. There's a lot of stuff that's gone on at Dismal. Is it possible to get too faded on the Dismal Sub 70 extravaganza?
Well, the group keeps getting bigger every year and the trip keeps getting better. I will have no comments on any of the activities that happen out at Dismal River, because what happens at Dismal River, like Vegas, stays at Dismal River. But for what I'm hearing so far, I think it could be a fine addition to the group. And he likes to have fun, drink beer, etc., etc. I'm all in. And if Mikey and you guys say he's good, he's good.
I like the sound of that. Now, we heard all about Mikey's poncho. Tell us about the Sub 70 where you're at in Sycamore.
The 70. Yeah. So this was the 70. Yeah. So this was opened last March. So we bought the building last December, and my wife and my vice president's wife did all the design work. We were just the labor. So we used to do the fittings inside the production facility, which was like, we could get it done, but better experience. So now we have, kind of move this, right? We got the fitting bays. Hold on. Over, it's a little dark, but they're over in there. And then we got the bar behind us. Hold on, I'm coming back in play here. So you can like come in, get fit, have a cocktail. It's very relaxed. Like, we did not want to make it look like a normal golf store. So people at first thought it was like an antique store or something, but it's like very chill. The vibe is elegant but chill. And I think we kind of, the wife did a great job getting it there. So
well, obviously, she's the brains and the beauty behind the operations, and I like that, because the next time I get fitted for club, I want a scenario like this, because the last time I got fitted for clubs was at the PGA Superstore in East Palo Alto, and by 5 o'clock we got salespeople walking by going like, "Are you going to get the fuck out of here or what?" Something tells me at the 70 it's going to be like Mr. Mathers, old fashioned, gin and tonic, margarita. What's next?
Exactly. That's the vibe. Like, and we open the store just by appointment, so it's one person at a time. Or if you want to bring a group in, Kevin Healy, who's our PGA professional, does most of the fittings. I still do about 5 or 6 a week. I'm still involved with it. But Kevin's a great host, great teacher. exactly. We don't want to ever make it where it's like, here's your slot, you get in, get out. It might be, here's your slot. Hope you had a great fitting. By the way, golf's on or NFL's on coming up or college football. Hang out in the afternoon and grab some cocktails. Like we wanted to vibe, we'd want to hang out. And I think hopefully we accomplished that too. So it's like, you know, for everyone to enjoy. Kind of idea.
Jason, can you tell us, because I do think it's fascinating. Can you tell us just, you know, maybe Cliff Notes version, or you could take all the day. This is the internet, so I don't give a shit. But, you know, a Division III college golfer at Oshkosh, wherever you went, to a guy that, you know, is trying to pay his rent, maybe get a mortgage, wife, kids, selling, you know, clubs, to a guy who one day is probably driving around the road, living the grind, going, you know what? I can make my own goddamn clubs, to where you sit now.
Well, so Sub 70 was the third company we started. So I started Diamond Tour Golf in '95, which is a golf component company, still around. So I did that when I graduated from college when the internet was coming out. Then we started Hurricane Golf in '08, which is like a TJ Maxx of golf. So we carry like all the, what's called the big brands you've heard of, and we would resell it on the website. So I was on Amazon and eBay and Walmart.com and our own website. So I was always in the golf business. But I had this like, so I had a living, like I could make a living with the other one. So it gave me the freedom to kind of do this new company that would be direct to consumer, but high end and boutique. So we broke a lot of rules, right? And so we don't do product life cycles, like all the stuff you're not supposed to do, custom making everything, like nothing's pre-made. But I was fortunate that I had the freedom basically to do this. And I'd been in the golf business a long time. I never thought it would take off like it has, because like I said, we sort of was just a passion project at first. I thought I was going to be, we said like, you know, getting 20 acres, Mike, you'll get this because he went to school in Iowa, but getting 20 acres and growing sweet corn on it with a vintage tractor. I thought I'd be hobby farming with this little boutique brand. And it's been the coolest ride the last 3 years to see this thing kind of blow up. So we still have the other two companies, and I'm very, you know, I love those companies. They're still around. But this one is my favorite. It's been it's just a passion project that turned into kind of a global brand, which is just, it's crazy.
So for you, Jason, what was that? When did you make your first set of Sub 70 golf clubs? And what was that aha moment where, you know, this is going to work out? Was it the pandemic? Was it something else?
No, it was before that. So we launched in December of 18. And I don't think there was like, we knew we had good products. We started working on with Blaze Boyce, right? Our buddy who goes on the Dismal Trip, started the concept in like 2015 as like the consumer ready for high end, but direct to consumer. And then Boyce and Jay Armour, right? And his brother.
Oh yeah, Hiland Jay Armour.
Hiland.
Yeah, they was there from the start. So we all Blaze, all four of us, Ryan, Jay, and Dan Peck, who have been as our vice president. But we had like a small group. It's like, I think this can at least work. Now at what level and how big, but like, is it a viable business? I thought we had something when it took a couple years of the product development, but we did like, I remember we did the first 639 CB forged irons, and it was like, we were giving them people a test and they were like, it's really good. It's really good. So it's like, okay, I think we've got a really good product and we knew it would compete with anything out there, but you never know until you turn the switch on, right? We knew after year one, it was probably going to be accelerating faster than we thought. And then, you know, we had two huge moments that year, right? One was Mark Calcavecchia putting the fairway woods in play on the Champions Tour and announcing like we weren't paying him. And he's playing him because he likes him, which was just, it brought credibility to the brand, right? It's Mark Calcavecchia. And then we won a couple My Golf Spy awards for a putter and our 699 iron. And that was, I would say, the two moments that sort of gave us legitimacy and kind of got us out there. And then from there, it's just been sort of, you know, like the most, I'm so humbled by, you know, the growth. And like, I pinch myself, like this is kind of like the reality of what's happening. I think we got a lot more, you know, growth to do and whatnot, and to make it a true global brand. But like, I'm having so much fun with it. And I got to meet you guys through Sub 70 like this, right? Like, so the other great part of this is like the relationships I've made and friends I've made from this. Seriously, like you guys are like brothers to me. It's been fantastic, right? And I kind of look back, and my wife and I were talking sometimes, it's all because of this brand. It's like there's been so many benefits beyond just the business side of it to my life and my family's life. Like I'm so humbled. I'm so fortunate. You know, I really, truly am.
Semi-pro, how did you get hooked up with Sub 70? I mean, you're down there in the desert, in the Gulf Mecca, and you're, doing the semi-pro grind. How did, Jason and Sub 70 come across your radar screen?
So it was actually via Twitter. So I had done some stories and communicate a lot with Ryan French, who is Monday Q Info on Twitter. And it was 2020 that my deal with Ping was kind of up. I was, getting washed out of that. And I just saw that he was playing on Twitter and posting about Sub 70. So he sent me a direct message and just goes, "Hey, you gotta check these guys out. They're a pretty cool company. The CEO is pretty awesome and whatever. Here's his number. Just shoot him a text." So I shot Jason actually a direct message on Twitter and said, "Hey, like,
you got up in the DMs."
The DMs. I slid into Jason's DMs. We've been best friends ever since. So normally we slide into DMs, you're not best friends, but whatever. So he goes, "Hey, like, here's my number. Text me or call me." So, all right. So I call him and he goes, "Hey, like, what are you playing now? What do you got? What are you looking for?" So he built me a set of 639 CB MB combos that I actually still have in my bag over here because I can't get rid of them. They were so good. So I took them out. I hit them against my pings, TaylorMades, PXGs, Callaways, and all the numbers on TrackMan were the same. So I called Jason and I go, "Hey, what would it cost me if I was buying these retail for a set of these clubs?" And he said somewhere, and this is back in 2019, 2020, he goes, "It'd be about like $500 to $600. And I just go, you got to be kidding me. There's no way that you can get this price point with this caliber of club."
That's a TaylorMade driver.
Well, yeah, when you're not even upcharging for the shaft. Guys are ordering TaylorMade drivers. I just had a buddy buy a freaking Callaway with an upcharge shaft that was like $1,400. Right? Like throw up on my face.
And a 6-month wait probably too.
Probably. But I just said, "Jay, like, this is unbelievable." So I immediately put them in play. They were awesome. I've been talking to Jason. I mean, he sent me down test clubs, new clubs, looking at stuff that they're doing. I mean, like I said, I just got the new set of 659 TCMB combos after I have the TA3s as well, which are a phenomenal iron. And so for me to put the 659 TCMB combo into play, went out and hit them. I looked at the ball flight and I go, "These things are freaking rock stars." So the fact is, like, and for me, it's like I tell my friends, I rep the brand. Jason does a great job hooking me up with gear, bags, everything that I need. Promote them a little bit on social media. Sends them to me. Exactly. Yeah. Whatever you got to call it. And I mean, I got buddies that have been following on Twitter and they're asking me about it. And I mean, it's like this cult following of golfers that don't want to spend $2,500 on a set of irons when you can get something for half the price and way less than that and get the same results. It doesn't make any sense why people
are. Why should I have to pay for those things to sit on a shelf at a PGA Superstore and wait? I mean, literally the experience in the middle of the pandemic, I got new clubs, I got Callaways, my buddy got TaylorMades. Not only was it, I mean, it was close to like $1,800 for just irons. Okay. I got wedges and I got irons, and it was close to $1,800 when it was all said and done. And I waited months before they arrived. My buddy spent even more, and he literally was 6 to 7 months before he received his clubs. I was blown away. You finally convinced Jason that, hacks should be allowed to play them too. And he was nice enough to put me in touch with his fitting guys, and we got dialed in. And, I bought some irons. Now, full disclosure, I did get the friends and family discount, but it was still, even at retail, much cheaper than what it would be. And then what shocked me the most, the goddamn clubs were there in a week, Mikey.
They're awesome.
You buy a new toy, you want to play with it. Let's go.
Well, exactly. But apart from, before we get back to Jason here, apart from the fact that they get your clubs there in a week, 7 to 10 days, whatnot, it's like, you're not calling the CEO of Ping. You're not calling the CEO of Callaway. You're not calling the CEO of TaylorMade to get clubs. You're calling Jason Hiland or one of his guys. Or
I was going to say, unless he's got Lionel Richie tickets. Outside of that, absolutely.
That's true. And we'll get back to that also in a second, because I think that suit on social media really brought in the name of the Godfather that we have actually dubbed you. But the thing is, the customer service ratings that you guys have gotten on the internet, on social media, you have an issue, call you guys. What did we do wrong? What needs to be fixed? Send them back. We'll fix it. We'll have them back on your doorstep in 14 to 18 days. It's incredible.
But it wasn't that hard, right? Like it's just, if you were on the flip side of this, what would you just, can you talk to a human being and be helped? Because mistakes happen, like no company is perfect. We try to learn from them. Thank God there's not that many. But if it's good, bad, or ugly, can you just pick up the phone and relatively with ease get a hold of somebody who understands your problem and can try to help you solve it? And don't treat the customer like a customer number. Just treat them like a human being and say, how can we help? So we really thought we could take not advantage in the sense that we thought the customer service in the industry was lacking. So we wanted to have a direct to consumer model, but almost like, you know, the service at the Wynn Hotel in Vegas or Nordstrom or something like that, where you feel kind of like there's a real relationship between the customer and that product, right? Versus, you know, what's your customer number, zip code? You know, I've got 30 seconds to the next call. So we just thought we could just make the whole experience more boutique-ish, right? More bespoke. And then the clubs, we feel, are, you know, every other major brand does a great, like Ping's a great company, Titleist's a great company.
Yep.
They're all, TaylorMade makes great drivers. They all make great stuff. We just, it's never been better for the consumer. We just wanted to be kind of in a different lane and do it a different way. And, you know, I hope our customers, or we're so appreciative of the customers we're having, I hope we're making them happy and they play a little bit better golf and they're happy with the product and they're proud to, you know, play sub 70 clubs. Like we never thought about it from a, like dollars and cents. We just said, if you take care of the customer, everything, and make great products, everything else will sort of just take care of itself, really.
Well, Jason, how, when you're getting started, or what was the mission statement? You hit on that a little bit, but there, like you said, there are a ton of great clubs on the market. I mean, just like there's a lot of great beer and a lot of soda, it's hard to break into. You know, obviously you want to build a great club. So how was it customer service, or was it the price point? What made you think that, you know, you can make a dent and find your niche and your spot in what is, I mean, to me, the last new company to come in before I heard of Sub 70 was PXG. And they're a company that comes from a Silicon Valley background, and they came in with heavy hitters and a lot of money.
Well, the tagline, which I think, and you know, I'm not trying to like use our tagline, but it really did encompass what we're trying to do. Expectations redefined. That's the company's tagline. And that's kind of from the price point to the custom build to not BSing people, to have a product life cycle every year. Like we only make new ones when we think it's better. So the whole thing was like, if you looked at it through that lens of expectations redefined, how should we do it then? And if you kind of did that from service and product and custom building and the whole 9 yards, we looked at it through that lens. And that's how we approached it versus what's the exact margin on this, or do we have to sell X amount of widgets? We honestly didn't think about that much. It was such a passion project that we looked at just through that lens and said, let's build it from that. And I didn't know it was going to go this way. I said, I mean, I thought we had a chance, but I'm still humbled and surprised of like how fast it's growing and like how much international work we're doing. And like, it feels like it's just the start, but it's growing like really, really fast.
So let's go to the international part, because for those that follow Sub 70, you got Taiwan,
Yep.
you got UK, Canada. I mean, every time I see somebody like you guys launch a product, and right there in the comments on Twitter, it's, do you offer it in this country? Do you offer it in that country? Talk about how you got involved with that international growth. What was it like tapping into those markets? How are you guys growing that?
Yeah, right. So the world is so flat anymore. Like we always joke, our town in Sycamore has 20,000 people. You think you should go to like Indianapolis is the next stop, right? And the world is very globalized, and you can now think globally, even from a small town with technology like we're from. So we always thought that would be our growth pattern, right? So then we actually, we knew the guys in the UK, so that was kind of an instant partnership, right? That was a relationship that was already there. But everybody else kind of reached out to us, and then we sort of, you know, made sure that they were a good fit for us. So that, as you, Mike, you know, especially the golf industry is not that big. Everybody kind of knows everybody. So you can ask around and be like, okay, if this guy's been in the business and they're in New Zealand, you know, and Grant's been a great partner over there, he's a PGA pro, but the guys at True Temper know Grant. The guys at KBS know Grant. The Golf Pride guys know Grant. So we kind of made sure that is either right guy, is either right fit for our brand. And then we just made sure, versus pushing it, that we made sure as best we could that the people that we work with are going to share our values, be honest, put the customer first. Like that was the most important, that they're a good fit for us versus the expansion. So like I said, everyone kind of knows everybody. It's like a big industry, but it's really not. I mean, think how many of the same people we knew before we even knew each other. Right, Mike? Like that's just how it works. So yeah, we just kind of did slow and easy and made sure we had good partnerships. And it's been so far so good. Like we've had really good relationships with all of our partners overseas. And like I said, it's really growing, and we'll be adding more countries. Like, you know, there's a lot more to still do.
I hope it keeps growing. I mean, you guys got such a great product. You know, we talked about, I mean, you guys are year 3 in, and you're really rolling with it. You know, it's like anytime I refer, someone talks to me about them and I refer them over to you, they get back to me and they go, hey, I just had a 30-minute conversation with Jason. This is what we're going to start with. This is what we're going to go with. And then here's the thing. If you build them a club and you send it over to them and they go, hey, I really like this, you build around it. If they don't like it, they send it back. You make adjustments. What do you see in the ball flight? What do you see in the spin rate? What's going on? Just send it back to us. We're gonna rebuild it and send you a new one, right? And I think that is just an awesome model, because it makes the average golfer feel like a tour pro. Because every time those guys, even when I was out there, they go out, there's a tour van, go get fit, do whatever you need to do. Hey, my 3-wood's doing this, my driver's doing this. Make little adjustments and they make it go the way that you want to. And you found that way to do that just to the average guy. And when you make exactly, and it's like, always treat the janitor like he is the CEO. And every single person that you've come across feels like a CEO. I got these custom clubs and they're flipping awesome. I mean, I was playing right before we get to Dismal. I was playing with Ken Bryant. Shout out to Ken. I love that guy. And he had like 280 yards into this par 5 at Sand Hills, the 16th hole. Slightly down, and he has 5-wood over the green. And I go, let me see that club. Because I had this old Callaway like Epic or something I was playing that my coach gave me. And I took his ball and I ripped it. And I go, I got to get me one of these. I remember sending you an email the week after Dismal, and I go, I got to get me one of these clubs. And he built it. And it's one of the best freaking clubs in my bag. I love that thing.
I knew Kenton Bryant as the greatest 5-wood player ever before I even knew that guy could play a goddamn guitar. That show he put on with that 5-wood, and that's what I wanted, and that's where it started. I wanted those woods, and you guys got me set up, and I crack up as we're humble bragging about golf courses. I was playing Blue Jack National last time I was out there, and the GM is just cruising around the range. He's like, what are these? And he takes my 7-iron out and just starts ripping them. And he's like, make sure they call me. I'm going to need, I need to know more about these, and I want to get these at Blue Jack. But Jason, let me ask you this. The biggest question I get, because I don't know shit about golf. People know I play the sub 70s, or I'll throw some out there and they'll hit me up and be like, dude, I kind of want to see what these are about. But here's the biggest question mark. I've never been fit. How will they know what I need?
So there's 2 ways you can go about it. If the golfer really, our staff can ask enough questions to get a really good idea of kind of what's going on. What are you playing? What's it doing? Can you go to a place and get some numbers, right? So we can usually pull some info. But even if the customer doesn't know anything, we would then say, go get fit locally, because I can interpret, my staff can interpret a fitting. Let's just say, for example, they fit somebody into a Strixon iron, right? We're a full company. We have products for high handicap to tour players. If I look at that fitting from a Strixon fitting, right? So they're not going to probably have the sub 70 clubs. We can interpret that and put it into our clubs. But the shaft is still, Mike, you'll notice, the shaft's still the shaft. The length's the length, the angle's the angle, the grip's the grip. Then basically, you're just using the equivalent head of the type that it's designed for to put in place of the other one. So if somebody doesn't have any idea, we'll actually hit the pause button. We won't sell it to them. We'll say, look, this is in your interest to go spend $100 or $150. on a really good fitting, send us that info. If we get that info, it's like doctor's notes. I can read and my staff can read what's going on, and we can put the person in the right golf club. And then, like you said, even if it's not perfect, we have the custom shop. They get that, time period to play with them. And we want to make sure they're perfect. So we always tell the customer, hey, if they're not perfect, tell us, we'll work with you. So with the customer always we have to, because they're not seeing the clubs that they get them, you have to have that trust on the back end that we're there to support them.
Jason, move forward, the future of the company, where do you see it going? And then talk about, threading that needle between staying true to what you guys are and also, meeting the growth and the demand that's going to come with it.
So we will not get away. We will never have clubs pre-made overseas in a store. I won't do it. Right. So that's never going to happen. I would literally just not do it if I had to do that. I won't do it. So the model will stay the same. There's some core values we just won't change with, but it's growing and it's going to keep growing. It's the groundwork has been, or the runway or the road has been made for how to do it. It's just going to be a bigger company, but we will not change to what got us to what we're at, because I have to look myself in the mirror and I know the right way to do it is to hand make and custom build every club to that customer specs. And that way we can ensure the line goes right. The loft is perfect. If someone needs a dynamic old S300 soft step, we can do it. You wanted a 1/4 inch over standard, we can do it. I won't get away from doing it because that's how I build my own clubs. That's how this came about. It's just from being in the business for so long. Like, how would I build my own clubs? And that's how I would do it, like by hand to my exact specs. And we want to do that. If you're a tour player or you're a 25 handicap, you're going to be treated with the same, the same way, like Mike was saying, how a tour player would get fit and the modifications we can do, we're going to do it for a high handicap or a tour player. It doesn't change what level of golfer you are. And hopefully with that club fitting you better, you play some better golf. That's sort of the goal behind the thing.
Right. So let's touch on this real quick. So like with your club building expertise, back in the day, you originally used to build clubs with your dad. Is that correct?
Yeah. When I started it in high school, where pings were really expensive, and we didn't grow up poor or anything, but we didn't, like, buying new pings was not an option. And my dad, who worked for the phone company, was very mechanical. And one of his friends, there's like this company in Ohio called Dynacraft, and they were like a golf component company. Like, we do it at Diamond Tour Golf, which I first started. And he's like, it's pretty easy to build them, right? He showed my dad how to do it. So I ordered I think it was like TT light steel shafts and like a ping I2 head and a Golf Pride Victory. I don't know if you remember these, the black and green grips. And my dad and I, with like a pipe cutter and a bench grinder, right? Bench grind, do the shafts, and you got the epoxy. And we built a set of clubs. And you know what? They hit pretty damn good because they had a Golf Pride grip and a True Temper TT light shaft, and the heads were made well. And it was like way less expensive. It was kind of like a fun thing to do with my dad, right? So then we started building our own clubs and using like a mail-in order, or no internet then, but you had a catalog. And the quality of like the Dynacraft stuff was really good. It really was. And it was way cheaper. And you could get the exact grip you want, the exact shaft you want. So we were custom making the stuff when I was in high school. And it saved money and it was kind of fun to do. And I liked it. And I loved the customization about it. Like, my club was kind of different than everyone you bought off the store. Like, I had this HM40 Altaless shaft and I had it cut exactly the way I wanted to. And yeah, it's kind of how it started. Like, we just built our own clubs.
Yeah, I love that, because there's even the guy that built my clubs, when we had to get them reshafted, it was the TA3s, and he sent me the shafts, and we go, and the guy did the same thing that you did, built clubs with his dad growing up in Texas, did the epoxy in the little vial that he did it, just mix the right complexion, put it in there, put on a swing weight machine, and just made sure everything was tipped out. It's a really, for those of you listening at home that don't know this, building clubs is an absolute art. There's a bit of science behind it, but it's an absolute art to watch of people that take an extreme passion into doing it. And it's cool because you're like, oh, you don't like that head on your club, with this wedge. Well, let's just pop this off, put a different head on there, redo the epoxy, put a new ferrule on it. Boom, you got a complete new club.
Or still, I still love modifying my wedges by hand with a file, right? I'm getting just the right amount of roll to the front. I still do that, like file it off and go, look at it, look down on the club, like, is that just right? So yeah, I still love tinkering with the stuff. I really do.
That's awesome. So let's get to the Dismal River trip. So explain, because Dismal River has, you're a member there, right? How did you, because Dismal River is the redhead stepchild of Sandhills, okay, or that's the reputation that it has. But the thing about Dismal is like,
well, I don't know if I go that far. I'd say the rebel group.
Mikey, you're talking about his fucking course, man. Don't call him redheaded stepchild.
I'm just.
There goes your invite. You're never coming back.
No, it's the rebel group, right? It's the guys who started it, who were never going to get in out there. And I would be one of those guys, right? Like, I don't have the pet, like, they're never going to offer me. And I love Sandhills. This is no dig on the Sandhills, right? But
Sandhills is great.
It's fantastic. It's probably, and it's probably my favorite golf course architecture in the entire world, right? It really is. That or Cypress Point. If you're just looking at pure architecture, is my two favorite. Dismal is if Dismal's an A, Sandhills is like an A plus in my opinion, right? But I'm not going to get into Sandhills, so it's not an option, right? So like no one is that's a closed club in the sense that there's 100 members. And you own the stock, and when you pass, it goes to your kid. Like there's no new members, basically. Yeah. So it's the rebel group. It's the live tour.
It's the live tour.
Yes, Dismal is the live tour.
It's definitely,
and it is. It's way more wild and right.
But the reason I was saying that is because like when we were talking to the bartenders at Sandhills, someone were like, oh, like some people over here think that like Dismal River is the redhead stepchild of Sandhills, and the way that you just described it's like, no, it's the rebels, the people that weren't let into Sandhills or weren't getting into Sandhills, just said, screw it, we're gonna go start our own club.
That's literally what happened. That's literally what happened.
Right. So when we were at Sandhills and we went over to Dismal, I'm like, we're driving in there and I go, man, I'm like, is this course really gonna be that bad? And we show up there and it's flipping awesome. Yeah, it's like untuck your shirt, drive on the tee boxes, have a flipping day. The freaking cart girl comes by in a Razor going 60 miles an hour at you, and she's got whatever you want to drink.
Callie, no tea times.
Callie, shout out to Callie.
Yeah, no tea times.
No tea times.
No tea times. You just do it. They have like one rule out there. The rule is don't be a dick.
Exactly. So so you said like, hey, you're never getting into Sandhills, whatever, all that other stuff, right? So how did you end up finding Dismal River, and how did the sub 70 trip start? Because it all holds a place in our hearts going.
Yeah. So in 2007, my buddy Grant Goltz, shout out to Big Time Powell.
Oh, Big Time Powell.
Big Time Powell went out to play Sandhills and Dismal River, because Dismal was open for 1 year then, right? So we played Sandhills, we played Bayside, we played some of the other courses out there, and we were just blown away of that inland links golf. I mean, if there is such a thing, right? Links golf after you by sea, but inland link style golf. Like I said, everyone thinks of Nebraska, it looks like cornfields in like Iowa, and it doesn't. And most people don't realize it because it's so desolate where you go. But if you go to the northwest corner of Nebraska, called the Sandhills, it's actually like at 3,500 feet elevation. The glacier missed it, so it's like it looks like you're in Montana or Wyoming. It's mountainous with cactus. It's sort of like an arid, almost deserty sort of, which is really weird in Nebraska. But you guys have been there; it's sort of true. And it's sand based. And what's the best golf courses in the world made on, Mikey?
Sand based.
Well, and the developers love it, right? I mean, it's the natural topography is unbelievable. Hence, you see more golf courses going out there. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say the land is probably a little cheaper than, I don't know, Monterey or something.
Correct. And it drains. So building a golf course out there, because you have to move such little sand because it's naturally there, relatively speaking, is inexpensive, right? You just got to put the irrigation system in. You don't put drainage. It's sand. So, we went out there and we played Sandhills, we played Dismal, and my buddy Grant, i.e. Big Time Powell, it's like, I'm joining Dismal. So then Grant joined Dismal, and then Dismal's pretty liberal on like your buddies coming out. So as long as one of us was a member, we were like good to go, right? So Grant joined it, and about that time I started having kids, right? So in 2009, Jack was born. So little less golf trips and that stuff. And then like 4 years ago, Grant joined Black Sheep, which is a great links golf club out in our area in Northern Illinois. There you go. You've been there. Exactly. So then when Grant joined Black Sheep, so now I can go out there, and the kids got older, guess who joined Dismal? So then I took the Dismal membership for all of us so we can all go out there. So we rotated Black Sheep for Dismal. So we, since '08, one of us has always had, or one of my buds has always had a membership out there. And then it's kind of one of those deals like, and it's one of those memberships where like, you want to share it with everybody, right? You guys come out. So you basically like one of us to be a member. And then, you know, my wife loves it out there. It's like one of the most peaceful areas. It's beautiful. I always tell people it looks like Yellowstone, you know, the you should see Rip coming over the mountain with the on the horse, right? It's stunningly beautiful. And my kids love it out there. So we do the guys trips. I do a trip with my wife. We do a family trip every year. It's literally like my happy place on earth. Like I love it out there, from the tranquility. It's the best people in the world out there. Like they're the nicest, you know, the ranchers out there are like true, like American people. Like you can't not help fall in love with them. So I'm so fortunate I get to spend about a month a year out there. And I kind of call like, that's my ocean. That's my sanctuary out there.
It's a great
like kind of, now that he brings it up, it's to me, it's Yellowstone meets Bandon Dunes, but you get to drive a cart.
Yeah, that's a fair statement, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of right.
I think so. And that trip is it's epic. It's a blast. I've been blessed to be on it the last 2 years. I'd be curious, you know, you guys talked about connections, small and getting to know people, but Jason, as this company's grown, you know, you're in Vegas. I know you're making bags for celebrities. What's it been like, the doors it's open and the people you've met and the experiences that have also come?
It's crazy.
Rick Ross.
Yeah. I mean, right? Like if you'd have ever told me I'm gonna be building golf clubs for the boss, right? Like
the boss, Rick Ross, baby.
Rick Ross, like, yeah, I mean, like I haven't met him yet, but you know, hopefully one day I will. I have a friend who's friendly with him. He's like a great guy, like, and he's such a smart business guy. I would love to be able to sit down with Rick Ross and literally just have a conversation about life, business, right? Like, my God, talk about successful. It's been really, I mean, the people I have gotten to meet, you know, it's been great, you know, where, you know, I never thought I would be in these places I've been and things I've gotten to do. Like, I truly appreciate it. I'm humbled by it. And yeah, it's like, you know, I almost feel like I don't want to name drop because I feel like I don't want to be that guy. But
That's
it's like,
we're not about name dropping. We're not about facts.
Like,
we're not about facts. We're not about name dropping. Let's just go.
I'm here for name dropping for the record.
You are a name dropper, but let's just go through some of the people that you built clubs for. You got Rick Ross off the top of your head. I mean, the man, the legend himself, Penny Hardaway.
Let me rephrase. I'm sorry, Coach Hardaway.
Coach Hardaway,
the nicest superstar I've ever met in my entire life. Like, he'll call me and just be like, "How are things going?" And it's legit. Like, he is one of the warmest, best human beings you will ever meet. As busy as he is and as famous as he is and the responsibilities that he has, like, he is the Prince of Memphis. Could not be a better human being I've ever met. I love that guy. Great dude.
He seems awesome. He seems awesome. It sucks his career was kind of ridden with, you know, injuries and stuff. He's supposed to be the next MJ, but the fact that he's back at University of Memphis or Memphis State University, I can't remember which one it is, but
Memphis.
I mean, that seeing him on Sub 70 and on the social media and just thanking you guys and how cool the clubs are that you build him are flipping sweet.
Well, like that's but he's done so much and accomplished so much. Like, it's so easy to build him a cool custom club. I mean, right? You got NBA, you got Olympics, you got Memphis Tigers. Like, there's so much. The 1 cent logo, like, it's iconic. Like that's like a really easy one to do because there's so much to work with. But he is really a quality human being, and like I've enjoyed getting to know him a lot. Like, he's a really good dude. So
next guy, you're sporting his hat. I've sported his irons. How'd you come into TA3? Because this guy's tour parties
Tommy Armour the third, for the record.
Legendary.
I got to be friendly with Sandy, his brother. So Sandy played European tour, Australasian tour, South African tour in the 80s as well, and 90s, right? So I had Sandy on the podcast. I got to know Olin Brown a little bit. He was caddying for Olin at that time. He's like, you should interview Sandy. Like, Sandy's got stories. You know, his grandfather's the Silver Scott. He's caddied all over the world. He's played all over the world. He's taught people. Like, yeah, like, great. Like, anybody who played the European tour in the 80s, trust me, they got great stories, right?
Oh.
That was a lifestyle there. So I had Sandy on. We were supposed to talk for an hour. We ended up talking for 2, did like a 2-parter. And Sandy's like a sweetheart human being. Like, Sandy's friggin' fantastic. So, but I would never ask Sandy to talk to Tommy, right? Because there's like, because everyone's going to ask Sandy to talk to Tommy. So I never would do that. And then we built irons for Sandy, and then TA saw them. And Sandy reached out to me and said, you know, is it okay if Tommy calls you? He has some questions on the clubs and likes what the look of it, but curious what you're doing. So, well, of course. Now, this is really weird for me because like that's one of my like true heroes growing up, right? That's like Freddie Couples, Tommy Armour III, like that whole generation, Marco Mira, right? Like that's the guys I just was in awe of when I was a kid.
So that was like, did you just text Sandy back and say, "Nah, I don't have time for TA"? Like,
I did not.
I got too many celebrities.
Well, I got Mikey on line 1. Let me get back to you.
No, Mikey would have been dropped like a hot potato on that one. And then, you know, so Tommy, like then all of a sudden the phone rings and it's him. It's TA. And he asked if I had any new projects going on. And I said, well, I got this like goofy idea of like a blade, but the center of gravity would kind of rotate like an old Mizuno T-Zoid, but we would modernize it. And I think it'd be a really cool club for you. Like I've seen your game from afar. You know, you're a great ball striker. You know, I think this would be kind of, you know, well, show me, you know, send me some drawings. So I did. Now it's really getting strange, right? Now I'm having a conversation with Tommy Armour III like once a week on these golf clubs. And he's coming up with like great ideas, like because the family had the club business. Like he's a gearhead. Like he understands golf clubs, he understands shafts. Like he's really, really smart with this stuff and world-class ball striker on the tour for like 28 years, right? So he knows his shit. So like after a month, I'm like, gosh, should I ask him? I'm like, well, when if we did this project together and you put your name on it and I put my name on it, we partner together, but you get the final vote. If it's never good enough that you won't put it in your bag, it never gets made. You get the final vote of making it or vetoing or any changes. We're just going to be there to put ideas together and we'll team up with it. He's like, I love that idea. And that's literally how it started. And then over time, you know, one of my heroes has become a really good friend. Like I love Tom. And he's been so kind to me and so good to my wife. Like we have such a great time going out there to Vegas. You know, Sandy's been great, and he's been kind enough to kind of like in that Vegas group. He has such a great group of friends. I can see why he loves living out there. Of kind of letting me into that tent a little bit of going out to the dinners and having fun and meeting, you know, Joey Cortell and those guys, and from out in LA and Miami, and like they're good groups of guys. Like they're like us, they support each other, they want each other to do well. But like Tom has been so kind, you know, like Penny is this, like he's such a great guy. You know, he's a little more old school. You know, he'll tell you if you don't like something. I so appreciate that. Like he makes the company better. He's honest as hell, but you know, and I appreciate that about him. But you know, he's been, you know, it's really cool to have a hero become a true friend, and you get to spend time with them. And I've never been so nervous playing golf. First time I'm playing with just like me and Tommy, it's like, oh my God, like I'm playing golf with Tommy Armour III. Like this is crazy. Like how'd this happen? So he's been, I mean, with, you know, his time's valuable and he's probably given me way more of his time than he should be. But, you know, we're gonna do more stuff together. We got a wedge coming out and, you know, we're gonna be doing a clothing line together. That's gonna be kind of like our, like really high end black label stuff. And he's kind of going on that. Like it's gonna be his vision of what it is. You know, that man has style. He's got style and he's got class. So,
well, obviously he's classy and you respect him, so I'll assume we'll never see him on a Dismal trip.
No, like Tommy is more of like an LA, Vegas, Miami guy. Like I don't know like how well he's going to appreciate Sand Mountains.
Straight like, up entourage.
There's not enough going on around it. Tommy's good in LA. Like you want to meet Tommy out in LA at Craig's. Like that's Tommy's scene. Holding court at the main table with, you know, 20 people. That's Tom in his element, and it's fun, man. Like, it is fun to be in that wave. Kind of just, where's dinner tomorrow night? Like, he is fun to hang out with. He is.
Well, Mikey's married, got kids coming, so I can make that trip, and Mikey will.
Well, here's the thing, though. That also goes back to what goes to show that JB does not realize the legend of Tommy Armour III on tour. You know, he obviously hasn't heard about his parties, how he likes to, you know, go about it and stuff like that. Tommy knows how to throw a party. You know, going back to when he used to live on TPC Las Colinas. I mean, the guy knows how to throw a party. And
it is a fun night, Mikey, to go out with TA3, right? Like, there's no way you're not going to have great conversation, because he'll bring the most interesting, like, it is usually, like, I'm the only golf guy there. It's usually guys from Hollywood or like arts or guys who own restaurants. Like, it's not a golf crowd. And he'll have like the most interesting, fun group of people to go have dinner with at a really good restaurant. And it's just fun. Like, he puts together like a great group to go out with each night. So I'm very fortunate, been under that, you know, invited a few times on that one.
And one of his most famous things for TA3 was, you know, he always throw a party down in Dallas when they had the PGA tournament down there. I remember I'm not really going to admit this in a passionate way, but I played Call of Duty with Scott McCarron during the pandemic after he had his Achilles surgery. And we were talking about the legendary stories of TA3, and where he had a party at Las Colinas and there was a longhorn tied to a tree in his front yard. And I was talking to McCarron about it. He goes, dude, I was at that party. I'm like, really? So all these high school kids driving through the neighborhood were calling their buddies going, dude, there's a longhorn tied to a tree in front of TA3's house. Just go up. It had his handler there. You could pet it, get close to it. I'm like, the last thing that I am doing, I've done a lot of stuff at Dismal River, including going down a service road to get there this year, but I am not getting near a longhorn freaking bull like that.
Well, the thing with that party is, you know, like, and always people think like Tommy partied all the time. Like, he would have a good time on an off week, but you, like, as you well know, Mike, you can't play the tour for 20. He had a card at 50. No, there's a lot of hard work that went to his career, right? Like, he would. So I think it was a little bit every now and then, like, it was a little bit blown out of proportion of how, like, he did not party. You know, he had the one party during the week for the Dallas event, for the Byron Nelson, right? We live in the golf club.
Yeah.
But you can't keep a card for 28 years and party during the week very often. It's impossible, especially. No,
it's just like when we have the Waste Management down here. All the guys that live here, which are a lot of tour pros, have their buddies and their wives and friends and all that over their house.
But they're not doing
wine, eat sushi and all that other stuff, right? But when they're traveling to other places, they're staying at host housing or a buddy of theirs, they're not doing that. There's no way.
Well, there's a difference between a partier and someone who just throws the epic parties.
Well, and Tommy would have a good time if he's off for 2 or 3 weeks. He might go out one night and let it go just to, you know, clear the air and burn some, you know what I mean? Like, you got to go out and have a good time. But when business was business, that golf was first. Like, there's an urban legend to it. Now, he's still fun to go out with, but like he doesn't party hard anymore of like drinking or staying out that late. It's dinner and a couple of cocktails. Like, that's his routine. He works out all the time. Like, when he gets ready for the Champions Tour, you know, when the you know, later in the year, November, December, when he was still playing out there, oh man, it's like he's eating super healthy. He's working out like 2 a days. He takes it serious. Like, he's had a great career. You know, he would have a good time when it would allow, but he did a lot of work, a lot of hard work to have that career for that long and be as good as he was for that period of time. But dinner is fun with him. Like, dinner is still fun.
Yeah. So who is more fun to play with in Vegas, him or Ron White?
Well, that's a hard question, right? Because Tommy's still a hero of mine.
You go Mike Wallace on him.
But laughing, like, Ron White is friggin' hilarious, right? And that might be one of the best days I've ever had golfing. It was like, we had like 10 people on one hole. It's a huge group. And Ron White, obviously, is a professional comedian. He's quick. It's funny. Like, it's toned down when you're not on stage. And we saw him, you know, we went to the show that night and at the Mirage and saw him play. And he's like, it's Ron White times 5. But it's still professional comedian funny. Wonderful human being as well. Like we got to hang out with him afterwards and hung out with him all day. Like he's a sweetheart of a man. Like that's the thing. Like all of Tommy's friends who I've been introduced to, fortunately, are like the nicest people in the world. Like Ron White's a great guy. Like I had a blast hanging out with him. Fun to play golf with. Plays well to his handicap. And like if you're playing golf, and then the opener is a professional comedian. He's in the group. So you have like 2 professional comedians in a group. Like you're going to laugh. Like how are you not going to have that much fun with that one? So yeah, that was out Summit Club, man. That was such a great day. Like Ron's a really good guy.
Jason, speaking of business, obviously the all the talk in golf right now, at least at the professional level, is LIV, PGA. Now Tiger and Rory have got some new stuff. But let me ask you this: from a business standpoint, you're not affiliated with the PGA or the LIV. How do you see this thing helping, hurting golf, and maybe benefiting, or just from the golf industry as someone who's selling clubs to the masses? How do you see this LIV versus PGA thing affecting the golf business?
I don't think right now, from a fan's perspective, it's great for business, right? Because it's going to be a little confusing. Which market am I going to watch? LIV's got some really, and I have no horse in this game, right? Probably like Mikey, like it's hard not to be for the players, right? Because that's what we're friends with, right? So if it's one of our friends who might be getting a contract, it benefits his family or him, I can't fault the guy for going to LIV, right? Like it's a business decision. But I have no horse in either game. I think for the fans, it's going to be a little confusing for a while. I think in the end, it benefits the players. Like I always said, like Phil Mickelson will look at some level, people are going to be mad at him, but the players will be thanking him 2 years from now. And what Tiger just did at this last meeting, right? Like they're going to get one way or the other. The PGA Tour is going to be coughing up more money to the players, as they should be.
They have suddenly stepped their game up real quick.
They've had that money for flipping years.
This is a conversation on its own, Mikey. And you and I know where this is going without even getting into the details of.
Totally.
I don't even. I can just look. You and I know. Like, we know. And from friends who are players, and said we know about.
And that's why I asked, because we could do 3 hours on that. We could beat that dead horse, and there are other places to do that. So that's why I just wanted to know, from a golf business standpoint, not the PGA Tour, not the LIV, how you see this helping or hurting the golf industry.
I think right now for the consumer who watches golf, it's not going to be great till this gets worked out. And I think it's going to be a while. I don't think the LIV Tour is going anywhere. I think they're in this for the long run. I think it's interesting on some of their changes. I think golf coverage is kind of boring, right? It's sort of like how we like to play golf. Like I always said, like the best, like if I wanted commentators, like to put JJ Colleen and Petey up in a tower with 12 beers would be the most hilarious thing ever. On a 16th hole, literally, you would be in tears laughing. Like,
well, look, David Verity left because he got tired of the cancel culture on network TV, and he's like, "Fuck it, I'm going to go to the LIV."
He also said
I can go back to being David Verity.
He also said what every tour player should have said. It's about the money.
Yes, I would have just said it. Like, what do you know? And I always would say this is true. Like, it's a nice edge of keeping your card out there, right? Like, so. Think about, I'll use a couple examples. Okay, would you have ever dreamed a couple years ago Harris English would be, barely holding onto a card, and then he comes back and he's on a Ryder Cup team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what happened? Like, it shows it's this much, right? And you have an injury, right? Luke Donald, was he ever the same player after that left wrist surgery? Never the same player.
Well, you played a tailor-made driver.
Well, it's a good driver. But you know what I mean. Like, he's never.
It's a fine line. It is a fine line between who's making the cuts and not. And look, I just get back to these guys put butts in seats are the ones that do. They deserve. If Steph Curry goes 0 for 10, it's not like they're not going to fucking pay Steph Curry. He's the one who put all the asses in the seats.
So I'll use an example, and I won't use the tour player's name. Okay, I'm out there Monday through Friday because I missed the cut. I get asked by the PGA Tour, hey, on Tuesday, hey, this guy, they support our tour. They have a bunch of corporate stuff. They're big fans. Can you go out there and do dinner on Tuesday night? Absolutely, I can. I also need you to play with them on the Wednesday program. No problem. hey, we're selling lots of ticket sales are good. The people are coming out to watch it Thursday and Friday. How much of that cost? Oh shit, I missed the cut. I'm out 17 G's that week. The tour made money off the corporate side of it, the ticket sales, the TV rights, the media rights, and they own none of their own, like Phil said, of those moments or imaging from anything the PGA Tour records. So how is that fair to the tour player when they are making billions of dollars off of you and there's no guarantee, and they're guaranteed their money?
Yeah,
from media rights.
Absolutely. And they're going to have to get in line like the other pro sports. I think that's
right.
where I see it going. And I think a key for the live and what they really need is, look, the majors, to me, I'm going to assume the majors are going to continue to allow everyone in, which they should. The live guys need to step up in the big tournaments, because it's going to be hard to compare the two and win the US Open, win the Masters, the British. If those live guys, when they get together, can knock off these PGA guys, it's really just it's gonna help the cause for us as the consumer, because it makes the live viable.
Eventually, it'll be worked out. They're gonna have to do it, right? And then at the end of this, the players will be paid the percentage of income that comes into all the tours, like the NFL guys are, or Major League Baseball guys are.
You had the ABA in basketball. You had the old AFL. They're gonna figure it out. Because eventually the best golfers will be, I think the big winner is the professional golfers, like you said.
Yes.
They're going to get guarantees. There's now more opportunities. I mean, it's floating around Twitter today. Gee, how much do you think Will Zalatoris, which there were some guarantees? The guy busts his back up, and
there's my perfect example, right? Like he could potentially
championship. And then I think also too, if you look at the NFL hasn't really been competed against since the AFC, but with the XFL, with the different leagues that have gone on, we got like some great coverage and TV stuff out of it, playing with extra points and making the game better. Like, as much as people want to laugh at shotgun starts, as a consumer, it's pretty cool to watch a whole tournament in 4 hours.
And also too, and I'll give the PGA Tour credit here. Their retirement program is outstanding.
Best pension program in pro sports.
Sports. So they did do that right for their players. So like I said, I'm just saying, like, from the players I've talked to, that's the beef. That was a microcosm of the beef of that kind of a week. But their retirement is unbelievably good. Best in pro sports by far. So they've done some good things too.
Right. And the other thing is, like, we had a tour player on earlier this year, and we were just talking about it, dipping our toe in the water. And he said, hey, if you're the number one player in the world, let's say right now it's John Rahm at the time, he goes, hey, he gets a $10 million stipend that says this is your salary, this is what you cover, and everything that you make in tournaments is your bonus. There's no reason of any CEO high end of their industry that's in the top 250 in the world should ever go out there and lose money. Ever.
Right. So I think you're right, Mike. It could be something eventually where, just as an example, right? So you take the money list and your top 125 still exempt. Maybe the bottom salary for someone who's 125 is 600 grand for next year. You're fully exempt, right? And John Rahm's, let's say he finishes number one on the money list, your starting salary is like 12 to 14 plus what you make next year. And it tears down to that. And you're exempt, you get, that much money to start the year, go play golf. And if you're not in the top 125 again, the next guys who come in, and then maybe for the guys who are coming off the Corn Ferry, so that'd be 126 to 175, they're guaranteed 350 or 400 grand a year in whatever you win. Because there's too many billions of dollars coming in from the media rights, and the most valuable asset anymore is live pro sports, from the betting. There's everything else you can DVR.
Nobody watches anything live anymore except for sports. It's the only thing that is consumed live. I mean, I've seen that for years now with the internet. But also, too, guys, they got to figure out, if I'm the number one golfer coming out of college, quite frankly, I think there should be bonus. If you're the number one basketball player, baseball player, football player, you're going to get paid on your potential. Bryce Young's probably going to be the number one pick out of Alabama. He's not going to be matched up with also some guy who came out in the 7th round, grinded out on the Corn Ferry Tour. I mean, they got to find a way to.
Well, also, he's got his NIL
securing the talent.
He's got his NIL money too.
But also too, the Live's going to probably start taking some of those guys, right? And they're going to offer somebody 10, 12 million out of the gate.
Yeah.
Right. The next
That
Scotty
beats the Corn Ferry Tour.
What's that?
That's a little better than the Corn Ferry Tour.
Exactly. And there's no guarantee you're going to, like Mike knows. Do you know how damn hard it is to even get on the Corn Ferry Tour? Like, okay,
horrible.
so you're the biggest stud in the world. So you get 8 exemptions, right? Well, if you don't get your card that way, you know, okay, good luck. Like, it's doable, but it's hard. Then you're starting with stage 1 Q school.
It's horrible. It's horrible. So you look at, for prime example, the guy that we're talking about now coming out of Arizona State is David Puig. Okay. So he signed a deal to go over to the Live Tour. If they're going to guarantee him 10 to 12 million on a 2-year contract to go over there and play, why would you not take that? David Puig does not come from money in Spain. He's kind of like a John Rahm, right? John Rahm didn't come from a prestigious background or anything like that. So why on earth would a guy like David Puig go and grind out on the mini tours, go to Canadian Tour, where you win, you get 25 grand. There's not one person on the Canadian Tour after taxes, after cuts made or anything that makes any money.
And Mike, he might be good to actually get on the Canadian Tour. It's that hard.
It's hard. It's hard. You go to Q school for the 7 Canadian Tour sites, and they give out, what is it, 7 cards a site now, and you're paying $5,500 to get in. So I got in this argument the other day with one of the members of our club where they're talking about growing the game. Okay, the PGA Tour, and I'm not bashing the PGA Tour on this, right? I love golf, but the thing is, the PGA Tour is like, oh, we grow the game, we grow the game, we grow the game. Well, Q school costs have gone up every year. Tour cards have gone down. You got to go to the Canadian Tour, Latin American Tour, PGA Tour China, which ended up folding, right? A lot of guys are going over to the DP World Tour, which was the former European Tour, in order to try and make money. And you got to pay for all of your travel, all of your expenses, your caddy, housing, everything, all of your own Guinness. And I'm like, how are you growing the game when you're making it harder to get on and you're increasingly making things more expensive with less value of getting all the way through?
Yeah. I mean, like what Zach accomplished last year of winning Q school, of starting for stage 1, there was 1,100 people who did it, who all can play because they're all coughing up like 6 G's to get through the front door. The math on that is spectacularly different.
That's the hard part too, is I think for these guys to get back to the, instead of judged on your body at work, you're essentially judged on a tournament, you know, which is, I guess you got to catch fire at the right time.
It's well, you've done it, Mike. It's hard. Even going to Europe anymore, you got to get through Q school just to get on the Challenge Tour.
It's horrible. But the other thing too that continuously pisses me off about the European Tour and the PGA Tour Q school, which is now the Corn Ferry Tour, so it's not even really Q school, is that how can you not get together and put a schedule that there's no overlapping? Because a lot of guys will sign up for European Tour and Corn Ferry Tour Q school, and then they get to second stage and they got to make a decision, right? If you're at second stage and you make it through to the European Tour and you get to find, you have a chance of getting your European Tour card, which is great. You're making more money on the Corn Ferry Tour, more world ranking points, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if you decide to go to Corn Ferry Tour and stay in the States because of, let's say, money, travel, et cetera, you're not going to Spain, you're going to Lubbock, Texas, right? You have to decide of what you want to do. How can you not get together and collaborate a schedule that allows people to, it would be better for both tours to do it, and they refuse to do it? I don't understand.
Well, it's going to get worse. So here's one I can't figure out. I had Mark Lai on our podcast with Sub 70 earlier in the week. I'm like, okay, so now there's going to be if the PGA Tour, which you read happens. So now there's a big boy tour and a big boy tour. Let's just call it that, right? So, and now there's more association with the European Tour, since the PGA Tour owns more of that. Who's the feeder tour then? European Tour or the Corn Ferry Tour or the Challenge Tour into the European Tour?
I have no idea.
I have no idea either, right? So who's what? Because you used to have when it was the old days, right? When the Euros would come over here and play the Ryder Cup, it was the Challenge Tour, and you could make a really good living on the European Tour, and it was a challenging tour to the PGA Tour, right? Like they had 10 studs, 12 studs could play on the European. Well, they beat the shit out of us for about 20 years. But the Challenge Tour fed the European Tour, and the European Tour was great.
They were.
And then they did not come over here and play that much. And then you had our web.com or Hogan Tour, buy.com, whatever it was over the years, that fed into the PGA Tour. Well, now with the PGA Tour buying a bigger stake in the European Tour and then elevating those top 60 players into almost kind of like a live sort of thing without cuts and guaranteed money, how does that work out? Who's what and where? And where do you go play if you're a young player then to try to get even onto the PGA Tour to eventually get in the top 60 for the big boy events?
Yep.
And that'll continue to help to live. If the path is unclear, I think
Mark Lai didn't have an answer. I asked Mark Lai has been on tour for 20 years and been broadcasting for 20 years. He goes, it's a good question, Jay. I genuinely have no idea.
Jay Monahan probably doesn't even know. I think that probably sums it up.
Jay Monahan does not get fired after this year. What is a fireable offense? They've been talking about the Live Tour for 8 years. And they're like, whatever. But when you look at what's going on, like a lot of the players, and you can talk to our boy John Peterson about it, right? There's been a lot of money hidden in the PGA Tour that they go, hey, why are we not putting more money into the purses? Why are we not doing this? Why are we not doing that? Well, since they're a nonprofit, they do all this stuff for charity, which is great. Totally get it. But now the players go, hey, we're the product. Like when they had the US Open at Erin Hills, Brandt Snedeker went around to a bunch of guys about protesting the US Open because they just signed a new deal with Fox Sports that was going to be in excess of $150 million, and they put no money into the purse.
Right.
And that's not the PGA Tour. That's the USGA.
Well,
so now
I always question this. Okay, so this is happening. Where did the tour then get all this extra money for these purses and PIP money?
Well, it's the best analogy I saw the other day is you go to your boss and say, hey, I want a raise. I've been performing well. Sure, we'll give you a 3% raise. Okay, well, I'm leaving for another company. Oh, wait, what do you know? We found an extra 30%. Here's a little something. And look, to me, the PGA's biggest problem is you don't watch golf for the PGA. You watch for the players. There are 4 events, the 4 majors you're going to watch, right? They stand on their own. To me, the PGA Tour does not stand on its own. You watch for the golfers. And
I would argue 5. I'd say there's 5 anymore.
The players.
Okay.
The players, because everyone knows the golf course, and that's a pretty
fine.
good.
But then again, the golf course is the star, and you want to see these guys. But regardless, nobody's losing any sleep over the John Deere Classic or the.
Hey.
I knew that one would hit close to home. So
that's our 5th major. No, but I get exactly.
Goddamn, the Waste Management's better known for the 16th hole and how hammered people get.
What's wrong with that? I've never been
wasted management.
Yeah, but you know what? I would say that's been talked about growing the game. That Phoenix tournament should be a model of how to do it.
Oh, absolutely. But hey, we're having 2 different conversations if we're talking about growing the game or the issues with the PGA Tour.
But yes, so what will happen? What's happened is, like it or not, you can just say, I'll use one player, right? Like Ian Poulter, right? Ian Poulter. Well, he's on the downside of his career, he's in his late 40s. There's a lot of golf fans who know who Ian Poulter is, who might not know the guy who might not know Denny McCarthy. Nothing against Denny McCarthy. Don't know him, but it's probably a very nice man. Mikey might know him.
We are going to have his caddy on the podcast coming up here in a couple of weeks. So,
but Denny McCarthy.
Denny, I defend you, Denny, but I love Denny.
But he's higher. But no, he's higher rated than Ian Poulter. But
exactly.
I'm saying golf fans, they want to see that son of a what who kept kicking our ass in the Ryder Cup and bug-eyed out because he's a character. People know him.
He's polarizing. He's polarizing. People love him.
Like as an American fan, you don't like him, but I love him, right? Because he's a gamer.
Right, you
He's
have an
Poulter.
opinion about him.
Game.
You're not. Sorry to your boy Denny. You're not losing his sleep over Denny one way or the other. Ian Poulter, you love him or you hate him, but you're going to watch him.
You're going to watch him, right?
And one of the biggest complaints I have about the anti-live folks, well, if they're already guaranteed this money, they're not even going to try. So you're telling me Patrick Mahomes, since he got a $500 million deal from the Chiefs, he's going to go out and not compete? Last I checked, Steph Curry, Patrick Mahomes, the best athletes, don't give a shit about your contract.
You guys know this. Mikey's played pro golf and you played college football, JB. Do you honestly think once the chips are, you know these guys? We have friends.
Well, absolutely. That's why I don't. That's the worst argument of them all.
No, they don't want to lose. They hate losing. Are you kidding me? There's a pride factor. DJ will work as hard as he's ever worked because he don't want to lose to Ian Poulter in a live event or Brendan Grace. And when they're under the gun, those guys, to accomplish what they've accomplished, if it's the NFL guys we're friends with or guys in the PGA Tour or any other pro sport, there is that inner burning desire of excellence. And it does not go away if you've been guaranteed the money or you have to go earn it. It's burnt in you of being great. And you can't shut that valve off. There's no way.
And when it comes to making golf clubs, goddamn it, Godfather, you are great. And I want to thank you very much for coming on. It's the Principal.
This was fun, boys. Anytime.
This is fun. If you have any more of your drink, I'll stick around for a little after party with you because I got a little bit more of mine to get through.
I think we'll do the pod live from Dismal next year. That could be interesting, but that might have to go to our OnlyFans page or something like that.
Only if Kenton is playing in the background serenading. What we do.
Kenton's coming next year, I think, for sure. We missed him. We got to have our music.
We miss him. We miss Woody. Even though Woody said he had family obligations, we all know
Willie was supposed to come. The celebrity factor was down a little bit. We had to go with the workhorses, but if we can find that, thread that needle next year.
We'll get the country music sensation and NFL great Danny Woodhead out there, right? I mean, we got to have a couple. You got superstars out there. Right?
I just hope that they've cleaned that pool since Groza jumped into it.
Oh God, the back hair floating in there is kind of disgusting.
The irony of the hair on the back opposed to the head. He is the Godfather. He is the Godfather of Sub 70. If you haven't checked it out, just Google Sub 70. He is semi-pro. I am the Honorable. You've been listening to It's the Principal.